From a 3-year-old karting prodigy to a 4-time world champion, Sebastian Vettel, the name that echoed through the F1 grid, youngest winner, record breaker, and the first that rewrote history. When a legend faces the limits, from Red Bull's golden boy to Ferrari's fading star, Sebastian Vettel's journey is a raw, real look at the highs and lows of F1. This is the Vettel story. Let's get started. Born and raised in West Germany in 1987, just 2 years before the fall of the Berlin Wall, which led to the reunification of East and West Germany. Most pro racers, he started with karting. He actually began karting at the ripe old age of 3. Yes, that's right, 3. What were you doing at 3? You had left mommy's breast alone by then, you pervert. At age 8, he began the kart series. By 1998, age 11, he was accepted into the Red Bull junior team Visa Cash Ab Racing. Oh, hold up, I'm kidding. But seriously, he was accepted into the Red Bull junior team, just not the Formula 1 team, okay? During that time, he won various titles. Most prominent was the 2001 Junior Monaco Kart Cup, a competition which was later won by current F1 stars such as Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz. Now, I can spend all day talking about how he struggled to get into F1, but this video will get too boring, so let's wrap into F1. Yes, his early days. Talking about his time with BMW Sauber. Mind you, he was a test driver for a year before his part-time debut in 2007. Yes, he started F1 alongside Lewis Hamilton, even though he was still seen as a test driver. BMW will end up sending him to Red Bull's junior team, which was then named Toro Rosso, to replace a guy named Speed. Not that Speed. Boy did he struggle, but even once crashing out Red Bull's senior driver Mark Webber out of a race he could have won. 2008 saw him at the start of round 5 as the only driver without a race finish. No jokes. But by the 2008 Monaco Grand Prix, it was evident something had changed in the young German driver, and at the Italian Grand Prix of that same season, he would end up winning the race, having led the majority of that race. In doing that, he became the youngest driver in history to win but 8 years later, it was broken by a boy named Max Verstappen. By 2009, Vettel had grown into a title contender and really taking the fight to Jenson Button that season. The German driver, despite being young in age at that time, didn't let that bother him. He had a fast car and showed everyone just what he could do with it. He won about 4 races that season. 2010 was when he really went all out to win, and boy did he. He did have a dominant season, but never led the driver championship standings until the end of the final race of the season, where he started second with 15 points behind leader Fernando Alonso and 7 points ahead of his teammate Mark Webber. Like most of his wins in his early F1 years, he led and won from pole, and Alonso only finished 7th, thereby conceding the title to Sebastian Vettel, who became the youngest driver to ever win the World Drivers' Championship. The 2011 season was cool breeze. The German driver was on nice cruise throughout the season, winning races, breaking rules, breaking and setting records. In fact, the FI tried to slow him down, but he had a Beatles song on his radio. Don't let me. Alright, I'm kidding, but you get my point. He ended up clinching the championship with just 4 races to go. He didn't stop there. He made sure his team secured the Constructors' Championship. Going into the 2012 season, it was only right he made it a trilogy for his championship. But by no means was it a smooth sail like 2011. His car was fast, alright, but it was plagued by different engineering and technical issues, from fuel pump to alternator wahala. Nigeria, by the way. Well, he did manage to stay within championship winning position throughout the year. In fact, on the last race of the season in Brazil, he began with a 13-point cushion against Alonso. Now learning this, I'm realizing that Vettel really did stop Alonso from winning some much needed championships. I'll have make a video about him soon. We're back to that race. Started out with bad weather. He even spawned with the ghost, nephew of Senna. Using the rain advantage, he climbed up to 6th, thereby clinching the title with just 3 points, becoming the youngest ever triple world champion. Now, if you are a recent fan of the sport, you might be wondering where Hamilton was. Well, he was there in McLaren, of course. By the start of the 2013 season, Vettel was a current 3-time world champion, definitely leveled above most on the grid. One thing you need to keep in mind is that during his 3-year dominance of F1, he had the same teammate, Mark Webber. Now, I don't know how Webber was felt happy. I think not. In fact, at the 2013 Malaysian Grand Prix, Vettel won the race, but he outright disobeyed team orders, and Webber was pissed even going on to say a new Red Bull will protect Vettel as usual. Yes, in fine fashion they did. Christian Horner spoke about how Weber had disobeyed team orders in the past. Well, Vettel will go on to win the last 9 races of that season and become a 4-time world champion. In 2014, new car, new teammates, Mark Webber decided to leave F1 and in came a young Gossi, Daniel Ricciardo. Vettel struggled for most of 2014 and eventually at some point, Daniel Ricciardo outqualified him, making it the first time in over a year that a teammate of Vettel would outqualify him. Before the end of the 2014 campaign, Red Bull announced Sebastian Vettels was leaving the team just 1 year before his contract expired. However, Vettel went on to a Ferrari testing at Abu Dhabi that year without permission from Red Bull. In November of that same year, he was able to test Ferrari's 2012 car at Fiorano, now to Ferrari. In 2020, he was off to a great start at Ferrari, getting his first win in over a year and Ferrari's first in 2 years. Throughout the season, he was seen as a title contender majority of last season. But Lewis Hamilton went on to win his 3rd title and Vettel had to settle for 3rd place. His 2016 season began on a harder note, you get it? Meaning he didn't get to start a race in Bahrain because his car broke down in formation lap. And he had a lot of clashes with Red Bull's driver Danny Kvyat, even labeling him a madman. He even called the young Max Verstappen some names on the radio. Overall, he had a difficult season that year, and Hamilton and Rosberg were at it as well. But that's the story for another day. Yeah, with 7 podiums that season, now on to 2017, you would say 3rd time lucky, right? But nope. Yes, it was Vettel's 3rd year at Ferrari. Yes, he had most championships over any other driver on the grid. Yes, he dominated, even giving Lewis Hamilton 25 points in the standings after the Monaco Grand Prix. But all that didn't stop Lewis Hamilton from matching him for a 4th championship. The 2018 season was dubbed Fight for 5 because for the first time in Formula 1 history, 2 quadruple world champions lined up at the start of the season. And also for the 2nd consecutive year, Vettel began the season with victory in Australia. That was his 100th podium, and also he became only the 3rd man in Formula 1 history to have led 3,000 laps. By the 2019 season, his decline was obvious. He had started making some silly mistakes in 2018, but that continued on to 2019. He had some okay races, he even won in Canada, but had to drop it, however, to Lewis Hamilton because of a time penalty, making him swap boards at the end. Don't believe me, just watch. He won in Singapore that year, a track many expected Ferrari to struggle. He ended up 5th in the driver's standings that year. By 2020, the year of COVID, things were really bad, and we all know how almost everything on earth was put on pause that year. He ended up in 13th place, and Ferrari finished their lowest in the constructor standings since 1980. A Ferrari team principal at that time, Mattia Binotto, announced Ferrari were not going to renew Vettel's contract. The newly formed Aston Martin arrived in time to rescue the 4-time world champion. His Aston Martin days were a lot shorter than his time at Red Bull and Ferrari. There were some fun days, but mostly sad ones. Crashing, collisions, failing to provide a 1-liter sample of oil to place, finishing above teammate Lance Stroll. I know everyone finishes above Stroll. He missed the opening 2 races of the 2022 season due to COVID. By July of 2022, he posted this, announcing his retirement at the end of last season. At the young age of 35, the German racing legend decided it was time to quit and focus on his kids and push for change outside F1, whether that's for greater equality or a push for sustainability and kindness to the environment. Where reports have it, Vettel still loves the sport and was recently torn down by Red Bull's Helmut Marko, who felt Vettel's reputation was at stake. Now we've seen how a young driver was given a chance in F1 and how he took it, became too old to handle, tried to make his dreams come true at Ferrari and failed, but he had a great time at the sport. He knew when to call it quits. I wish one of his teammates, Alonso, would listen to this. Well, it's been fun learning about Vettel. Hope you enjoyed it like I did. Thanks for joining me. Cheers.